One morning, Emily and James' parents went for a walk near the forest as usual, but they had never returned. The children believed that it had been kidnapped and decided to go to the forest to look for them. In the middle of the forest, they find an abandoned and mysterious mansion, which was said to be the house of the great grandparents, who had died tragically. So they decided to enter to look for clues about their grandparents' family. Emily said, James, are you sure this was the house of our great grandparents? It looks like something out of a nightmare. James said, according to the old records, this is where all began, our family's course. Emily said, the course? I don't really believe in that nonsense. James said, neither do I. But after what happened to mom and dad? Now, I think this is related to his disappearance. They cautiously make their way through the mansion. Suddenly, they hear a distant sound like a whisper. Emily, I hear sounds very strange. So, James said, so I am, but let's get moving. They reach a locked door to the end of the corridor. James pulled the door and a set of keys for open the door. Quakes and reveal a dark room. They step into the room and the floor begins to shake. The wall seems to close it around them. James said, what's happening? I don't know. We need to get out from here now. They race toward the exit, but the door is slammed shut before they can reach, and they wake trapped in the darkness.
The room is suddenly illuminated with a dim and mysterious light. In the center, there is an old desk that has been covered in dust with a drawer ajar. Emily approaches curiously and finds an old diary with a worn cover. Look at this, James, said Emily. It is the diary that our grandmother had wrote many years ago. What does it say? Said James. Maybe I can have some clues as to what's going on here. Frightened, Emily carefully opens the diary while the whispers around her repeat her name louder and louder. These whispers make them feel more terrified but still, and she begins to read aloud. The mansion hides dark secrets that have been kept for generations. A curse fell on our family due to a broken pact. Only those with poor hearts will be able to unravel the mysteries and finally let us return to be with our family again, free of the curse. Then we must look for more clues and discover what the curse needs to be broken, said James. As they explore the room, they find an old map of the mansion with various markings and symbols. One of the symbols seems to indicate a special place in the nearby forest. James, do you see this? Said Emily. I think this symbol indicates a place in the forest. Perhaps it is the next step to unravel the mystery. I don't think it's very far away. Neither I do, said James. Then we must go there and find out that awaits us. But we must be careful, Emily. We don't know what dangers we may encounter along the way. With the diary in hand and the map as a guide, the brothers decide to venture into the forest, ready to face any challenge to find their parents and free their family from the curse that has stalked generations.
Emily and James would find themselves in the forest. Reading the map was confusing for both of them. They had a slight idea of how to read it. However, the distance between one space and another could be greater than they expected. Having the soft glow of the moon as their only light, they had to be careful with any holes, animals or obstacles that they could trip over. James, be careful and watch where you walk. We could trip and hurt ourselves, fall into a hole or even step on a snake. Stay close to me and follow me. Emily. Okay, just don't walk so fast. I am starting to get tired. Emily approaches her brother, trusting him as a guide in that unknown, dark forest. The wind in the branches was beginning to produce disturbing sounds. The dark shadows, illuminated by the moonlight, were terrifying, some even moving, revealing the bright eyes of the owls that had been climbing in the treetops in search of prey to feed. Emily. James, are you sure this is the right path? James. Completely, but we don't know how deep is the forest is. According to the map, we should be near a lake. Emily. Speaking of which, where are we going according to the map? James. Well, the map has 5 locations. The road that is close to home with which we go to the city. Our great-grandparents mentioned the lake and 2 other locations that have no name but look like houses, although, well, one of they look like a building more than a house. Emily. Like skyscraper or a hotel? James. No, it seems more like a public place, like a town hall or an event center. I don't know for sure, but that's where we are going. It's possible that if it was an official deal, then it was done there. Maybe the reason why our parents disappeared is the curse of the family. So we have to know what was the broken pact that our great-grandmother's diary spoke about in that place there may be clues that can guide us to our parents. Emily. The diary said that our family has been cursed for 7 generations, but why haven't they solved it? What happened that they haven't told us? Why will it be a secret? James, I am not sure what the reasons are, but I think we'll be the first to find out. Emily, I think so too. The brothers had been walking for a long time, beginning to feel a little disoriented. James, hmm, I don't understand. It should be there. Are you talking about the lake? Responds Emily. James, yes, according to the map, we were supposed to go in this direction, but I feel like we have walked for hours. The map says there is a lake here. Emily, look at the mountain over there. You should climb it and see if you can see the lake from there. In that way, she made him climb the mountain and from there he saw the lake behind some trees. James, there is the lake. We have to cross it to reach the strange building. Emily, very well done. Come down and let's go. James came down from the mountain to go with his sister towards the lake. After they had been walking for so long, they would have reached the first destination on the map, having to cross it to get closer to the solution of the mystery of the disappearance of his parents.
The first location that they found was an abandoned building that could be recognized as a town hall. The boys wondered why the first destination was this one, so they decided to go inside to investigate. When they entered, they felt a very lonely and cold environment. and observed a shelf with many old papers. Emily, among these papers must be records of great grandparents. We should check them. James, all right. It look it look through these folders. After a while, Emily found her grandfather's file. Emily, here's here is the file of great grandfather, who says he was a very wealthy and prestigious man who had owned a lot of property in this town and had married our great grandmother very young. James, wow, our parents didn't tell much of a story about their grandparents. Emily, yes, plus it says they had two children, a grandmother and other son. James, what? We only knew of grandmother's existence, not another one. Emily, yes, I didn't know this either. We must find the file of our grandmother and her brother, and by the way, let's find the file of the parents. It took the boys a while to find the files, and they left the old building and headed to the next location. With the map in the hand, they found an old park that had been abandoned for years, and the kids wondered about this park. Emily, what does this part have to do with our family? James, I don't know it either, but no remember mom telling a story about grandma that she loved to go and visit a park with a big cherry tree where she met a grandpa. Emily, yes, I remember that story, but I don't see any cherry trees around here. The kids walked off the abandoned park and they came across a large and very old cherry tree, which showed signs that they had tried to cut it in the James. Look, Emily, this is the cherry tree. This is a park that Mom was talking about. Emily, I can see we have to move forward in order to understand this story and discover the course. Emily and James were on their way back to their grandparents' mansion to piece together some of the story. But they saw an abandoned house in the distance, which was not marked on the map. So the kids decided to go and see if it was abandoned house. When they were close, they saw smoke coming out of the chimney, which meant that the three were the people living here. There, I mean, some lives here. We should have found out another knows about your old grandparents, James. It scares me a little, but we have it to do. They were about to knock on the door when suddenly a thin, pale lady suddenly opened the door for them and the boys let out a scream and almost ran away. When the lady shouted at them not to leave, she knew where these parents might be. Their frightened and terrified boys didn't know to run any further and turned back in great fear. James, who are you, madam? And why do you know our parents? Woman, D- don't worry, I can help you guys. Go ahead and he'll tell you everything. The boys hesitated to enter, but they had to find out as much as they could to find their parents. So they entered with a lot of fear and trepidation. Upon often entering, the boys observed that it was a cozy environment, and unlike how the Vatican looked and old and worn out inside, it was a clean and tidy place. They sat down in a soft armchair next to the fireplace, and the lady began. to tell men about her family. Woman. I have lived in this house since I was born. I have known two grandparents who were great friends of mine, and I have known your parents since they were a leader. James, what can you tell us about our great grandparents? We have these files, but we don't know the whole story. Woman, are you great grandparents? We very respected people in this town. However, great go the better of them. Emily, really? And why? Woman, I think you already know that grandmother had a brother, and a handsome and very keen man. Your great grandparents wanted him to marry a princess from another country, so they could earn more money and respect. However, this hair had another owner, was a charming woman who was not the very healthy, mm, but she was a very simple and cheerful woman. Her grandparents refused to approve of the relationship. However, they were seeing each other secretly in that territory. One day, the parents found them and separated them. The man was very sad and only wanted this belonged. Then his grandparents tried to make him accept the princess, and he didn't not want to marry for interest but for love with a charming woman he had fallen in love. Emily, that is a very cruel history for my grandmother's brother. But why didn't we know anything about it? Where is he? Woman. One day he ran away with that woman, and they were planning to go far away from this town. Then these great grandparents had the woman killed so her son wouldn't not be able to live, but in strongly demand did died trying to save this beloved. James, how sad he died trying to protect the love of his life. Woman, yes, this is a very sad. These great grandparents were terrible with him and with his grandmother. They were also very bad. This grandmother also repaired the story of the her brother met his grandfather in the territory. His grandfather was not a person of great prestige and money. So these parents saying this decide to curse the mansion where if they came to enter the mansion together, terrible things could happen to the two of them. So the grandparents fled of the mansion and formed their separate household. Emily. That makes a lot of sense. That's why the part. This is a very sad story. But we must know our parents are gone. Woman. I know a way in which you can get your parents back, but I really don't want to participate in this. It brings back a very bad memories. The boys didn't understand the lady's words until suddenly they saw a picture showing a man and woman in a magic territory. James, you are the woman who was with my grandmother's brother. Yes, that's all right. It was a very hard time for me, but I don't want to remember this. Emily, we must go to the mansion to remember this and get our parents back. The lady and the kids walked throughout the mansion. When they arrived, the atmosphere was very tense and cold. They entered and the house seemed to be falling down. Columns, pictures, walls were falling to pieces. The house was about to collapse. Emily, we must forgive our grandparents for their actions. Only them they will rest and the curse can be broken. Woman, they made a very bad decision against their children. They should not be forgiven. James, but only they will the rest and give us back our parents. Please, we must do this before the mansion collapses. Then the woman took a seat and began to speak aloud so that the spirits would hear her. Woman, you were not to blame for your son's death. You made bad decisions because of your power and greed. You did not see the love between the two of us that goes beyond money and the power and the power. I forgive it all you because you made wrong decisions and your son was a great man who always loved you and received my forgiveness and his for your decisions. Suddenly the house started to shake very hard, so they ran out of the mansion and suddenly the atmosphere calmed down and the house doesn't collapse. Woman, I think it worked. The atmosphere is calming and quieter. You guys go back home. Your parents will meet you in here. Emily, thank you for help. You are the very noble woman. We appreciated your help. Woman, no problem. Go back home carefully. I'll go back to mine. See you guys soon. The boys and the ladies said goodbye and returned to their homes. The boys arrived to home to find their parents safe and sound, and do not understand why they disappeared, but they are fine and welcomed them with a hug. A long time later, they decided to remodel the mansion that was no longer a dark and gloomy place to a warm and cheerful place. So also their parents and the boys visited the lady who told them many stories and prepared dinner for everyone, and they had a very happy and peaceful.
After some time, negative vibration has been noticed in some parts of the house and place. The measure they took against the cause had not been completely achieved. This was due to the harassment that still lay in the place on the part of the woman from cabin, who had separated her from her love and not having fulfilled her dream. The lady had noticed these anomalies in the things that were happening because of the love she had for these children. She had to some time, but what? She began to investigate and discovered that she must purify the mansion, the place outside the mansion, and its surroundings. Due to the anomalies that were happening, the children were running out of the energy, and to perform the purification, they had need several things. After a while, the woman got what she needed. She began to the purification, and after a while, the bad vibes and anomalies disappeared completely, and the children has really recovered the energy. Everything has already happened, and now is one the end of the course.